Doris Day, the beloved American actress celebrated for her infectious smile and girl-next-door persona, had a personal life marked by struggle and resilience. Born Doris Mary Ann Kappelhoff on April 3, 1922 in Cincinnati, Ohio, she was the youngest of 3 children in a German-American family. Her upbringing was overshadowed by her parents' tumultuous relationship, culminating in their divorce when Doris was just 10 after her father's infidelity. While financial hardships plagued her early years, Doris found solace in her mother, who nurtured her budding passion for music amid the family turmoil. Doris displayed remarkable talent in dance and music, but her aspirations faced a significant setback at age 15 when a freight train accident severely injured her leg. This traumatic experience, which left her bedridden for months, crushed her dreams of dancing, but unexpectedly led her to explore a new passion for singing. During her recovery, she connected with the smooth jazz sounds of Ella Fitzgerald, who inspired her vocal development. With her mother's support, Doris took singing lessons with Grace Rain, who recognized her extraordinary talent. Soon, Doris began her career in music, landing her first professional gig with Carlin's Carnival, ultimately paving the way for her Hollywood stardom. Doris Day's breakthrough occurred when jazz musician Barney Rapp, impressed by her voice, selected her from 200 candidates to join his orchestra. In 1939, at Rapp's behest, she adopted the stage name Doris Day. She quickly affirmed her talent by performing alongside prominent musicians like Bob Crosby and Les Brown. With Les Brown's band, she recorded Sentimental Journey, which resonated with World War II soldiers and elevated her status to that of a household name. Doris transitioned into acting when she was cast in the 1948 film Romance on the High Seas, despite lacking formal experience due to her appealing image. This act opened the doors to a flourishing acting career with notable films like My Dream Is Yours, 1949, and On Moonlight Bay, 1951. A highlight of her career came in 1955 when she portrayed singer Ruth Etting in Love Me or Leave Me, earning critical acclaim. Doris showcased her versatility in Alfred Hitchcock's The Man Who Knew Too Much, 1956. However, her pinnacle moment arrived with the 1959 romantic comedy Pillow Talk, which earned her an Academy Award nomination. Despite her professional achievements, Doris faced personal difficulties, including turbulent marriages and financial troubles stemming from her second husband, Martin Melcher, impacting her life significantly. Despite numerous hardships, Doris Day maintained her passion for music and acting throughout her life. In her later years, she transitioned her focus from Hollywood to animal rights, becoming a prominent advocate. She established the Doris Day Animal Foundation in 1978, which continues to support global animal welfare initiatives. Her final years were spent quietly in Carmel by the Sea, California, away from the limelight. Although she retired from acting in the late 1960s, her legacy endures through her music, films, and philanthropic work. Doris Day's public persona as the wholesome all-American girl often overshadowed the complexities of her personal life, which included pain, loss, and significant challenges. Despite these adversities, she approached life with grace, remaining committed to her artistic endeavors and advocacy efforts. While she portrayed the idealized girl next door in her roles, the reality of her experiences revealed a woman of remarkable resilience. Her legacy exemplifies charm, talent, and perseverance. Doris Day's contributions to American cinema, music, and animal welfare continue to inspire fans and advocates alike. Though her life was not a fairy tale, it represented strength, reinvention, and a dedicated effort to improve the world, reminding us that even the brightest stars face dark moments, from which true greatness often arises. By the 1970s, Doris Day had retreated from the limelight. In a candid interview with People, she confessed that Hollywood no longer felt like the town she once knew and loved. "It wasn't the place I wanted to be," she explained. Although she was open to working on projects if the right opportunity came along, she was done with the constant pressure of maintaining her public persona. Day had grown increasingly weary of the charming innocence that Hollywood demanded of her, a persona she'd been locked into for so many years. In interviews, she often lamented how much she'd been typecast as the perfect woman, famously referred to as America's Virgin. In her 1975 memoir, Doris Day, Her Own Story, she took aim at her public image, stating that her reputation as the quintessential Miss Goody Two-Shoes was suffocating. "I staunchly believe no two people should get married until they have lived together," she boldly declared, shocking many with her frankness. Day was more than the sweet girl-next-door image she had built her career on. Behind her smile was a woman who struggled with the confines of public expectations, one who sought to define herself on her own terms. Despite her widespread appeal, Doris Day never quite believed she was beautiful. In fact, she often expressed insecurities about her looks. Norman Jewison, the director of The Thrill of It All and Send Me No Flowers, revealed in an interview that Day did not consider herself attractive, despite being universally adored by millions of fans and industry peers. Even her co-star James Gardner shared his admiration, claiming that not only was Day stunning, but she also had a unique quality about her. "She had no idea how sexy she was," Gardner admitted, adding that he preferred working with Day over other glamorous actresses like Elizabeth Taylor. The allure of Doris Day lay not just in her beauty, but in the charm she exuded, unaware yet utterly captivating. Doris Day's life was a tale of two worlds, the one the public adored and the one she fought to keep hidden. On screen, she was the embodiment of sweetness, grace, and innocence, a wholesome figure beloved by millions. But behind the scenes, Doris Day's personal life was anything but glamorous. Her romantic journey was marked by heartache, betrayal, and a series of tumultuous marriages that cast a long shadow over the glowing image she cultivated for herself in Hollywood. Her love life, a far cry from the idealized portrayals in her films, was a testament to resilience, a journey through personal pain that she navigated with the strength of someone who had been broken, yet refused to remain shattered. Her first marriage, to trombonist Al Jordan, began at the tender age of 17. Doris, still a teenager, was swept up in the whirlwind of romance, but soon learned that the man she had fallen in love with was far from the man she had married. The brutality of their relationship became clear within days of the wedding, as Jordan's violent tendencies surfaced. Their marriage lasted just 2 days, but the scars of that brief, harrowing experience would haunt Doris for years to come. Despite being pregnant with their son, Terry, Doris endured months of physical and emotional abuse. She later spoke candidly about one chilling moment in which Jordan held a gun to her pregnant belly, a terrifying incident that would mark the turning point in her fight for freedom. For Doris, escaping the nightmare of her first marriage wasn't just about leaving a violent man, it was about reclaiming her life and protecting her child. And she did so, bravely, despite the fear that loomed over her. She became a single mother, raising her son without the support of her abusive husband, a testament to her strength and determination. Her second marriage, to saxophonist George William Wedler, was a brief 3-year affair, but it had a lasting impact on Doris. During their time together, Wedler introduced her to Christian Science, a faith that would provide her with much-needed spiritual guidance in the years ahead. The marriage itself ended in divorce, but Doris's connection to Christian Science remained a crucial part of her life, offering her a sense of inner peace as she navigated the complex world of fame and personal turmoil. During this period, she also had a brief romance with a rising star who would go on to become the 40th President of the United States, Ronald Reagan. Their brief fling, sparked by their on-screen chemistry in the 1952 film The Winning Team, left a lasting impression on Doris. Reagan's charm and eloquence captivated her. But as with so many of her relationships, their romance was fleeting. By 1951, Doris Day married her third husband, film producer Martin Melcher, whom she believed would be her happily ever after. Melcher adopted her son Terry, and Doris hoped that this marriage would bring her the stability she so desperately craved. But as with many aspects of her life, things were not as they seemed. When Melcher suddenly passed away, Doris was left in shock, devastated not just by his death, but by the financial ruin he had left her in. It turned out that her husband had mismanaged her fortune, spending most of it and plunging her into severe debt. To make matters worse, Melcher had signed Doris up for a television series, The Doris Day Show, without her consent. This unexpected move thrust Doris into the world of television, a medium she had little interest in. "I was really not well when Marty passed away," she confessed in a 1995 interview with OK Magazine. The thought of going into TV was overpowering, but despite her reluctance, the show became a massive hit, running from 1968 to 1973, and helped her regain financial stability. The experience wasn't without its legal battles, however. Doris sued Melcher's former business partner, Jerome Rosenthal, who had defrauded her, and she won a $22 million lawsuit that helped restore her fortunes. But the emotional toll of this betrayal lingered long after the legal victory. Doris's fourth and final marriage, to Maitre de Barry Comden in 1976, was different from the others. Comden was not a famous musician or Hollywood insider, but rather a man whose love for animals captured Doris's heart. She was deeply touched by his gesture of bringing her meat scraps for her beloved pets, a simple act of kindness that brought them closer. For Doris, who had spent much of her life surrounded by people whose affection seemed tied to her fame, Barry's love felt like a breath of fresh air. However, even this relationship could not protect her from the emotional wounds left by her previous marriages. The pain of betrayal and heartbreak, though softened by the gentler nature of her bond with Comden, was a constant companion. Behind the camera, Doris Day was a woman of contradictions. The world saw her as the picture of innocence, the perfect woman who could do no wrong. She was adored for her roles as the sweet, loving wife, the girl next door who always wore a smile. But beneath that facade was a woman who had known profound pain, loss, and the deepest forms of betrayal. Doris's public image, crafted so carefully by Hollywood, could never fully mask the complexity of her real-life struggles. She had endured the brutality of an abusive marriage, the devastation of financial ruin, and the heartbreak of betrayal, all while maintaining the image of the ideal American sweetheart. Her journey through love was marked by emotional turmoil, but it was also a journey of survival. Doris Day was a woman who learned to navigate the harsh realities of fame and love in a world that often demanded perfection. For much of her life, Doris had been the embodiment of purity and innocence, celebrated for playing characters who were kind, loving, and morally upright. But the private Doris, the woman behind the sparkling smile, struggled with the weight of the very persona that had made her a star. She longed to break free from the constraints of the girl-next-door image, to be seen for the woman she truly was, not just the character the public adored. In truth, Doris Day's story is not just one of Hollywood glitz and glamour. It is one of survival, of a woman who endured the pressures of fame, love, and loss with dignity and resilience. Her life was far from perfect, but it was real. She was not the flawless character she portrayed on screen, but rather a woman who fought for her happiness, struggled with personal demons, and ultimately found peace in a life devoted to the things she loved, her son, her animals, and, in the end, her own sense of self. Doris Day's life is a testament to the strength of the human spirit, and to the truth that even those who shine the brightest often carry the heaviest burdens. Doris Day's legacy transcends the dazzling lights of Hollywood. It is a testament to resilience, strength, and survival. While millions adored her for her wholesome persona and radiant smile, Doris Day's real life was far more complex than the perfect image Hollywood had crafted for her. Beneath the surface of the girl next door was a woman who endured heartbreak, scandal, and public scrutiny. Despite these struggles, she never allowed her trials to define her. Instead, she rose above them with quiet courage, surviving the toughest of personal battles while maintaining her dignity and compassion. Her story, woven with triumphs and tragedies, fame and personal losses, is a vivid portrayal of perseverance. Doris was the epitome of the American sweetheart, the actress who captivated audiences with her charm and warmth. But behind the scenes, her personal life was marked by pain. 4 marriages, none of which offered the happiness or stability she sought, reflect a woman who constantly grappled with the pressures of love and the public eye. Her first marriage to Al Jordan, a trombonist, was filled with abuse and turmoil. At just 17, Doris was thrust into a relationship marked by domestic violence, which culminated in a terrifying moment when Jordan held a gun to her pregnant belly. Trapped and afraid, she endured the abuse until eventually she found the courage to leave him. The emotional scars from this marriage stayed with her for years, but it was the beginning of her journey toward self-empowerment. Her second marriage, to saxophonist George William Weidler, was similarly short-lived. Although it ended in divorce, it introduced her to Christian Science, a belief system that provided her with spiritual solace in the years that followed. While this marriage didn't last, it helped shape Doris into the woman she would become, grounded in faith and resilience. Her third marriage to film producer Martin Melcher promised happiness, especially after Melcher adopted her son, Terry. But the marriage turned out to be a betrayal. After Melcher's death, Doris discovered that he had mismanaged her finances, leaving her in debt. Worse still, he had signed her up for the Doris Day show without her consent. Although she initially resented the move into television, the show became a success, running for 5 seasons. The experience, however, left her feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. It was during this time that she also found herself embroiled in a legal battle with Melcher's business partner, Jerome Rosenthal, who had defrauded her. Doris won the case and recovered some of her lost fortune, but the emotional toll of these events was significant. In spite of her turbulent love life and financial hardships, Doris found solace in an unexpected place: animal welfare. In the 1950s, while working on The Man Who Knew Too Much, Doris became deeply troubled by the mistreatment of animals on set. This experience fueled her lifelong passion for animal rights, and in 1971, she co-founded Actors and Others for Animals. Her dedication to animal welfare grew in the following decades, with Doris establishing the Doris Day Pet Foundation in 1978 and the Doris Day Animal League in 1987. These efforts made her one of the early pioneers in celebrity-driven animal advocacy, and her work continues to impact the field today. Beyond animals, Doris also supported AIDS research in the 1980s, helping raise awareness and funds during a time when the epidemic was stigmatized. Her compassion extended far beyond the public eye, showing her unwavering desire to make the world a better place. In her later years, Doris found peace in Carmel-by-the-Sea, California, where she lived a quiet life, surrounded by her beloved pets. But the pain of losing her son, Terry, to melanoma in 2004 was a devastating blow from which she never fully recovered. Doris often spoke of the profound bond they shared, and his death left a hole in her heart that could never be filled. Doris Day passed away on May 13, 2019, at the age of 97. Her death was marked not by public spectacle, but by a quiet tribute to a life well lived. True to her wishes, there was no public funeral, and her passing was acknowledged with a quiet reverence for the woman who had given so much of herself to others. Doris Day's life was one of contrasts, an image of perfection that hid a reality of pain, heartache, and resilience. Through it all, she remained a symbol of strength, grace, and determination. Her legacy continues to inspire, not just in her films, but in the countless lives she touched through her advocacy for animals and her unwavering compassion. Doris Day's story is a reminder that even those who shine brightest in the public eye are often hiding their deepest battles, yet still manage to leave the world a better place. Doris Day, one of Hollywood's most iconic and beloved stars, is remembered not only for her incredible talent on screen, but also for her unshakable spirit, her deep compassion for animals, and her dedication to a life of purpose far beyond the bright lights of fame. Though her career in Hollywood flourished, her personal life was often marked by complexity and challenges that led her to withdraw from the limelight. It was through these personal struggles that Doris Day would find a new calling, one that would define her legacy in ways that few could have predicted. Her fourth and final marriage, to Barry Comden, was yet another chapter in a string of troubled unions that seemed to mirror the turbulence in her personal life. Comden, who worked as a maitre d' at one of Day's favorite restaurants, initially won her heart with his understanding of her deep love for animals. It was a thoughtful gesture. He tried to woo her with a bag of meat scraps for her pets. While this might have seemed endearing to some, it ultimately became a point of contention between them. Comden soon found himself frustrated, feeling that Day cared more about her animals than she did about him. This frustration eventually led to their separation, another failed relationship in a life that, despite immense success, was peppered with its own share of heartbreak. But perhaps it was this series of failed marriages that gave Doris Day the perspective to turn her focus elsewhere. While her personal life was often chaotic and filled with emotional ups and downs, her professional legacy remained as strong as ever. However, by the early 1970s, Day found herself pulling away from the spotlight, not out of bitterness, but out of a desire to seek peace and fulfillment in other areas of her life. She once explained that she no longer recognized the Hollywood she had known and loved, feeling disconnected from an industry that had changed drastically. She acknowledged the shift in the entertainment world, admitting that she no longer sought the glamour and attention that had once defined her career. Still, she remained open to new projects, though the allure of fame no longer held the same power over her. What stands out most about Doris Day's legacy is how she channeled her fame and fortune into something far greater than herself, her deep and abiding love for animals. Long before many other celebrities took up the mantle of animal welfare, Day was a tireless advocate for the cause. Her passion for animal rights began in the 1950s when she witnessed firsthand the mistreatment of animals while filming The Man Who Knew Too Much. The cruelty she witnessed left her shaken, and she took a stand, refusing to continue filming unless the animals on set were treated properly. She insisted that they be given proper care and feeding stations, a demand that marked the beginning of her lifelong commitment to animal welfare. In 1971, Doris Day co-founded Actors and Others for Animals, a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting better treatment of animals, particularly in the entertainment industry. The organization also took a stand against the wearing of fur, a cause close to Day's heart. Her activism did not stop there. In 1978, she founded the Doris Day Pet Foundation, an independent nonprofit organization that worked tirelessly to promote animal welfare and protect the rights of animals everywhere. Just 9 years later, in 1987, Day further expanded her efforts by establishing the Doris Day Animal League, which fought for legislative changes to protect animals from cruelty and exploitation. Both organizations remain active today, continuing her work and carrying on her advocacy for the protection and care of animals, long after her passing. Her passion for animals, however, was not her only cause. Doris Day also used her platform to support efforts in other areas of social importance. In the 1980s, during the peak of the HIV/AIDS epidemic, Day became an outspoken advocate for awareness and research into the disease. The epidemic, which ravaged the world, deeply moved her, and she threw herself into efforts to raise funds and promote vital research. Her dedication to helping those in need was just as strong as her love for animals, and she used her considerable influence to make a difference in the lives of people affected by the disease. Whether fighting for animal rights or advocating for public health causes, Doris Day consistently used her fame and resources to make a meaningful impact on the world around her. While she was never fully out of the public eye, Doris Day's later years were spent in quiet solitude, choosing to live a peaceful life in her home in Carmel by the Sea, California. Surrounded by her beloved pets, she embraced a simple lifestyle, far removed from the media frenzy that had once consumed her. She often spoke of the peace she found in her later years, as she focused on living a quiet life with her animals, away from the pressures of Hollywood. Yet, even as she enjoyed her solitude, Doris Day's personal life was far from free of sorrow. She often expressed the profound grief she felt over the death of her son, Terry, who passed away in 2004 after a long and painful battle with melanoma. Doris was devastated by the loss, and in a deeply emotional interview, she shared that the song "My Buddy" was written in honor of her son. The song captured the deep bond between mother and son, and in 2011, she reflected on his death, saying that she missed him deeply and considered him not just a son, but her buddy. His passing was a wound that would never fully heal for Doris, and it seemed that her grief remained with her for the rest of her life. Despite the pain of losing her son, Doris Day continued to carry on with the same love for life that had defined her in her earlier years. Her dedication to her animals and her philanthropic efforts were unwavering, even as she faced the heartache of personal loss. She remained a staunch advocate for those in need, channeling her grief into positive action, using her platform and resources to help others, just as she had throughout her entire career. On May 13, 2019, Doris Day passed away at the age of 97 at her home in California, succumbing to pneumonia. The news of her death was announced by the Doris Day Animal Foundation, and in accordance with her wishes, no funeral services were held in her honor. Doris Day had always preferred privacy, and her passing was marked by a quiet celebration of her life and legacy. Her work and her life had been about far more than just Hollywood fame. They had been about making the world a better place through kindness, compassion, and activism. Doris Day's life, though filled with joy and love, was also marked by deep sorrow and heartache. She experienced personal pain, losing the loves of her life through troubled marriages and the devastating loss of her son. Yet through it all, she never lost her passion for helping others and for making a difference in the world. She used her fame to advocate for causes she believed in, leaving a legacy that continues to resonate with people around the world. In the end, Doris Day's legacy was not just one of stardom. It was a legacy of compassion, advocacy, and resilience. She showed the world that, even in the face of adversity, it is possible to continue shining brightly. Doris Day may have left Hollywood behind, but she never stopped radiating the warmth and kindness that had made her a beloved figure for so many. Her contributions to animal welfare and her support of other charitable causes will continue to inspire generations to come, and her name will forever be synonymous with grace, love, and the power of making a positive impact on the world.